Beneath the shadow of Table Mountain lies one of the world's rare jewels, a dazzling blend of pristine natural beauty and a vibrant city life. In this cosmopolitan atmosphere, the cultures and colors of East and West are blended. Known as the Tavern of the Seas, Cape Town without any doubt is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. With Table Mountain as its backdrop, it has a combination of spectacular scenery, history and culture. Hi, I'm Jake de Boer.
And I'm Mieke de Boer. Welcome to my favorite city, the mother city of South Africa, Cape Town.
Between Table Mountain's sheer cliffs and the sunny sweep of Table Bay lie many of the world's most famous beaches and the ever-exciting waterfront. Join us and explore this vibrant and cosmopolitan city. Shop at the Alfred and Victoria waterfronts and discover that Cape Town is an eclectic mix of many cultures. In 1652, Jan van Riebeek established a Dutch settlement at Table Bay. The purpose was to supply fresh produce and meat to the fleets of the Dutch East Indian Company. With colonization, the Cape of Good Hope established a long-lasting tradition of hospitality, leading explorers and sailors to rename it the Tavern of the Sea. The site of majestic Table Mountain and the people who live beneath it are as welcoming today as they were all those years ago. Modern Cape Town holds itself dear to its origins. The many fascinating historical buildings and monuments reflect the culture shaping the city.
Cape Town is definitely one of the most beautiful cities in the world. And here we have a unique setting. We have our landmark, Table Mountain, 1,000 meters high, and the city nestles below the slopes of Table Mountain, Lion's Head on the one hand, Signal Hill on the other, and the slopes of Devil's Peak. Where in the world can you take a trip from the center of the city and 5 minutes later land up on the slopes of one of the most magnificent mountains in the world, amongst 22,000 species of flowering plants, which represents 10% of the world's flowering plants. You can take the cable car up the mountain, see the view to Cape Point, and in fact, if you go to Cape Point, you can at the same time stand on one place in the early morning, in the dawn. You can see the sun rising over the Indian Ocean. And if you stay there for the sunset, you will see the sun setting on the Atlantic waves. Now, where in the world can you do all of that?
Many of the world's scenic wonders are within a day's drive of the city center. Magnificent seascapes and panoramic vistas abound, marrying the sea to the towering 12 Apostles mountain range.
There are many beaches, both on the Atlantic coast and the Indian coastline, because we are situated at such a unique part of the world where you have the Indian and Atlantic Oceans. So you can swim in the False Bay waters or you can swim in the Atlantic waters, and both have their own incredible natural animals and plants and different water temperatures. The beaches of Clifton are probably Africa's most famous beaches.
Clifton is a seaside holiday resort which boasts world-famous pristine white sand beaches. People flock to Clifton to see and be seen at the 4 crescent-shaped beaches which curve around the 12 Apostles mountain range.
Camps Bay is quite a wealthy part of Cape Town, a lot of magnificent homes. Takes you about 3 or 4 minutes from the center of town over what we call the neck. So you go into Camps Bay via the neck, a winding road through forests, and through the trees you see the Atlantic Ocean, blue water and white sand of the Camps Bay beach.
When we return, we'll visit the lower slopes of Signal Hill, known as Bokau. Its vibrant pastels and local crafts are links to the Malay culture of Cape Town. Welcome back to the Travel Magazine and Cape Town.
Green Market Square is where you'll get to meet the yuppies, where you'll get to meet the people of Cape Town who are really sort of in, so to speak. And it's a craft market, but they sell wonderfully interesting products. Things from all over Africa, beautiful handmade pants and tops, lovely jewelry, and the restaurants around Green Market Square are always full of people on Saturday mornings who buy the local papers and come and have incredible good coffee. And there are musicians who play traditional African music on the cobblestone streets of Green Market Square.
The craft market showcases alluring mementos which Mieke just cannot resist. And there is, of course, the magical flower market.
The flower market in Adley Street is one of the landmarks of Cape Town because there you really get to meet the colorful personalities of the Cape. People who will shout in the traditional lingo, offering you the bunches of flowers.
Get all that for $20, and I can give you that for maybe $15, and you can take the whole lot for $50.
The flower market, I think, is one of the interesting attractions because there, as I said, you get to meet the people and you get to see the kinds of species that grow right here on Table Mountain.
That's
So,
beautiful.
is that a king protea?
Yes, that's right. The giant. Like sometimes some people call it the giant, but it is actually the king protea. This is our national flower.
So this was your day.
Yes, you made it.
Forming a natural amphitheater, Table Mountain watches over South Africa's mother city. Beyond the mountain and the sea, Cape Town bustles with the sights and sounds of a variety of different cultures. Perhaps none more intriguing than those found in the Malay Quarter.
Shireen, we are now walking in the Boerkaap, or they also call it the Malay Quarters. Tell me about this.
Well, the Malay Quarter is a very vibrant place. It is really the heart and the heartbeat of Cape Town. The Malay Quarter is actually people from Indonesia, and those who are here at the moment, which is about 80%, are all Indonesians, and they came in the time when the Dutch landed in the Indonesian archipelago, which is in Java. And of course, in that time, it was the time of the Sufi order, and so most of the political exiles, the Sufis, were then taken away and brought to the Cape. So what you have here is people from the Indonesian archipelago who are Sufis, and the Sufis are also the Kutubs. The people are very village-like. It's really a village in town because they still maintain their old traditions, and lots of traditions that they do maintain one won't be able to find in Indonesia unless you go into the rural areas.
When you walk through the streets here, I see every house has a different color. Does it has a meaning?
Yes, I must tell you about that, is that in the time of apartheid, the National Monuments Council would not allow people to paint any brighter than the light colors. So, of course, people then staged protests against the government when Mr. Mandela was released, they actually all painted it one color. That's about 6 months after his release. So this is why people have actually painted their houses this way to express their individuality. The culture here is also being preserved. As it is, the contemporary culture, the things that is historical is a different thing to the culture what is on the road today. Bo-Kaap has an array of different cultures, really.
After walking the cobblestone streets in the Bo-Kaap, we enjoy a traditional Malay lunch. Malay food is a delicious combination of Indian and Malaysian cuisines. When we return, we'll visit some of South Africa's most prestigious vineyards.
Hans-Peter Schröder, vielen Dank.
Nichts zu danken.
Stay with us as we explore Cape Town.
Welcome back to the Travel Magazine and Cape Town. Tell me about accommodation for people that come to Cape Town and the area.
Accommodation levels are incredibly diverse. We have 5-star hotels such as the Mount Nelson. We call it the Pink Palace. It is celebrating its 100th anniversary. In other words, it dates back 100 years to the times of the Boer War, and the Mount Nelson was, in fact, during the First World War, it was a camp for the British soldiers. We have a beautiful new 5-star hotel in the waterfront, the Table Bay. But then we have every level of star rating. We have guest houses. The guest house industry is flourishing at the moment. Magnificent old Victorian Cape homes that are being offered now as guest houses where you can live with the families, eat traditional foods. And then you get backpacker accommodation. The backpacker market is increasingly becoming a very big market for us here in the Cape. And then you get the hostels and the backpacker lodges, the caravan parks, the campsites. We have it all here in Cape Town.
Set amid 9 acres of lush gardens at the foot of Table Mountain is the luxurious, world-famous Orient Express Hotel, the Mount Nelson. One of Cape Town's traditions is the noon gun at Signal Hill.
V&A Waterfront is probably one of the finest redeveloped docklands in the world because it contains the best of other places like St. Catherine's Dock and San Francisco's Pier 39. But what's unique about our V&A is that it's a working harbor, whereas activity has to be created in places like San Francisco. Here we have our tugboats going out, we have the cranes hauling all the goods that they haul, and yet we have redeveloped buildings that now house craft markets, museums, probably about 200 restaurants, art nouveau cinemas, an aquarium of world class, the IMAX theatre. So much to do and see, and there you get to see South Africans at play, mixing with one another, black and white, eating together, playing together, talking together, and it's a place where visitors can interact with locals, and so it's a very successful development.
Life in Cape Town centers around the Victoria and Alfred waterfront. It's a working harbor, a historical site, and a pulsating place of gathering. One of Cape Town's biggest tourist attractions, the waterfront, evokes images of early activities of the harbor. "70 kilometers from Cape Town and the hustle and bustle of the Victoria and Alfred waterfront, you'll find serenity at the Oude Nectar Vineyard."
What gives you the good quality wine that you have? What is it that is special at your estate?
I think the single most reason is that we have very good soil, and our altitude changes from 200 meters to 600 meters. If you take the vineyard at the bottom here and you take the vineyard at the top of the mountain, they produce totally different wine, although it's the same variety. And if you blend those two, then you get a very, very interesting wine. Our Sauvignon Blanc is very popular in both the United States and in Canada. And our Cabernet Sauvignon is also a very popular wine.
Yeah.
How long do you oak some of these wines?
Well, the Cabernet is 18 months to 24 months. And the Sauvignon Blanc does get no oak. It's a stainless steel tank produced wine. Our Sauvignon Blanc, which I've just been around the world, and I'm glad to say everybody loves it. We're in some of the finest restaurants in New York, and
Yes.
please try it, because I drink a bottle of this every night.
Really?
Yeah, good for the health.
Wow.
Cheers.
So is this your favorite?
This is not my favorite, but it's one of my favorites. The nose is very good. It's got a very grassy nose, and
is
it's very fruity. One of the best New World wines you'll find anywhere.
Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So this is now a 96 Cabernet, and you'll be surprised how smooth it is. The winemaking technology has changed a lot. In the old days, people used to believe that one would have to keep a red wine like a Cabernet lying in the cellar for 10 years before you could drink it. But today, with the new vineyards and the new clones and new winemaking technology, try it. You'll see how quickly you can drink a Cabernet now.
This is a 96.
96. And it's got a lovely berry nose on it.
And it's got a beautiful
The
dark.
color is very, very dark.
Yeah, beautiful.
South African wines have become world famous and have been produced since the 17th century. Less than 60 kilometers from Cape Town is Parel Mountain. Nestled on its slopes is an exquisite 45-hectare wine estate, La Borie.
KWV is the brand that we use for our wines that we sell internationally, but the company itself represents most of the wine farmers in South Africa. We sell our mainstream brands, which is KWV, Cathedral Cellar, and a range called Robert's Rock. But then on top of that, we represent a wide variety of estate wines from South Africa, like Canon Cop, Ruston Vrede, Neil Ellis. Especially in the US and Canada, we represent these estates.
Now, you've won a couple of awards as well at KWV. Which ones?
Yes, we have, especially for the 95 vintage Cathedral Cellar range of wines. We have won numerous awards in South Africa as well as internationally.
And what is it going to be like this year?
This year they predict that it looks very good for red wines.
Across from Laborie are the headquarters and wine cellars of KWV. We took a few minutes to sample some of the outstanding award-winning wines.
Well, this particular cellar that we're in is part of the cathedral cellar. It's the basement of the cellar which is used for maturing the cathedral cellar wines in small oak in barriques. On top of us, we've got the big cathedral cellar with the wooden engraved barrels, which has been there since the 1940s. And it's the history of the South African winemaking engraved on the barrels. The cellar was built in the shape of a cathedral cellar. It's got an oval roof and it's got some windows at the ends which looks like a cathedral.
So, Jake, tell me, how did you like your visit to Cape Town and the winelands?
You know, I think Cape Town is one of the most beautiful cities in the world, and we have been to a lot of them. The winelands, I mean, what more can you ask for? Mountains, beautiful scenery, good wines that you can try if that's what you're into. I thought it was terrific. What do you think?
Well, I've always said to you that this is a world in one country.
You're right.
And don't you believe that?
Absolutely. Well, that's it for this edition of the Travel Magazine. We hope you've enjoyed Cape Town and the wine region as much as we have. I'm Jake de Boer.
And I'm Mieke de Boer, and join us again as we travel the world.